The goal of this webinar is to enable you, the formulator, to make formulas with unique anti-acne solutions. And we are going to show you a couple of technologies that can help you formulate and help the general consumers to enjoy a better product. Better means more effective and definitely has to be more skin friendly. So after a short introduction about blemishes and acne, I show you 4 different technologies like SalSphere Even Skin, SalSphere Severe Acne Relief, SalSphere Benzoyl Peroxide, and multisal salicylic acid. After a short, brief introduction, how the technology works, what's the benefit, then I show you examples of how to use them in a formula. So that will be live from our lab, and you can see formulations of finished product with the technologies. So the focus of our webinar today is acne. So acne, we know that in general, acne is characterized for teenagers, but babies can get acne, adults can get acne. So acne is a phenomena, and in the US, it is defined as a disease. Not so much in other countries where it's defined as a cosmetics and people can use and just call it blemish. We can call it here blemish, or if it's acne, we have to call it anti-acne solution. So acne is a very common phenomena. That's why we are talking about this, because several issues occurs when we want to use a solution for acne. So let's just talk a little bit how acne is actually formed. So you see this cross section. This is the top layer of the skin. This is the hair follicle. So acne forms in the hair follicle. This is the hair follicle itself. This is the blood vessels that lead to the hair, and this is the sebaceous gland. So in normal hair, what's happening, the sebaceous gland will secrete sebum, it's fatty acid and water, and it helps to plasticize the skin. So it's a benefit to have sebum, but excess sebum is the problem. So when we have excess sebum plus other phenomena, for example, the cells in this area, wherever the hair is coming out of the skin, start to grow in a faster rate. So we start to have a comedone. This is called the microcomedone. And gradually the pore is going to get clogged. And this is leading to the next step. The next step is a whitehead. Whitehead is a closed comedone, as you can see here. And there is accumulation of fat inside under the skin. So now we may have, you don't see the hair, but the hair is probably coming out. But we start to see what we call a whitehead, and I will show you some pictures. When this getting worse, bacteria start to grow here, and we have an inflamed comedone. We start to see redness around it, and it can grow even to a pustule, which is a larger growth with more inflammation, and the bacteria is starting to grow even out of the hair pimple itself. The underlying causes of acne are the following. First, overgrowth of skin cells. This is what's happening here. When there is a growth, there is no excess of oxygen from the atmosphere inside, and it's also clogging and preventing the excess sebum to be released. So this is the first one. Then we have excess production of sebum. So more sebum is accumulated. Now this sebum under anaerobic condition encourages the growth of the P. acne. This is the bacteria causing the acne pimple. Now the bacteria start to colonize and start to grow. In addition to this, we have some dead skin and dead bacteria that intensifying what we call the pimple. As a result of the growth of the bacteria, we start to see inflammation, which is the redness. The redness is the blood vessels that carry the blood, in order to fight the bacteria and to provide nutritions to the area and other elements to protect our skin from continuous growth of the bacteria. So this is the underlying. Now, there are different names for acne. I just would like to review them, but we don't go into the details. This is what we call the whitehead. A larger one, you see the cyst. Cyst is really growing out of the skin. The noodles is a special form of cyst. We have pustule, which contains much more pus inside. We have the pimple, and of course, we have blackhead. What we're all familiar, I think, is whitehead and blackheads. Whitehead is everything you can see here is inflamed. Blackheads are not inflamed. So why do we have this? We typically have it because we have hormonal changes in the body. So the androgen is the first trigger to growth of skin oil glands. Okay, this is the beginning. Then the increase in production of skin oil, growth of the pre-acne, then we have inflammation, and we have acne. Beautiful story. So the major question is, if we don't do anything, how long it will take? So typically, according to some dermatologists, it will take 2 to 6 weeks from the beginning, from the normal pore, to change into a blackhead, blackhead that start to form an actual blackhead itself. The black color here is due to higher concentration of melanin and oxidation of the fatty acid. That's why it's become black. So this takes 2 to 6 weeks, and we would like it to be shorter. To summarize, acne is a phenomena of multidimension. We have effect of hormones, inflammation, biology of us, the diet has an effect, stress has an effect, vitamin deficiency have an effect. So multiple parameters can affect the acne. We don't know exactly, I don't think anybody knows exactly to how much and so on. So we don't deal with how does it form, we just deal with what to do to reduce it. So we have several solutions, several approaches to do. In the US, acne is an OTC, and commonly there are 2 actives that are being used. These are active, pharmaceutical actives. Salicylic acid is 1, benzoyl peroxide is 2. Yes, there are other actives such as sulfur and so on, but they are less used. These are the commonly used. Prescription, there are many. I just want to mention that in Salvona, we have solutions for OTC, and we also have solution for RX, but not the oral, the tetracycline, but for topical solutions. So this is what we are specialized in topical solutions. And we do encapsulate tetracycline for topical, not for oral, and different types of retinoic acid derivatives. But we are not going to talk about RX at this time. We're going to focus only about OTC and other that are more cosmetics, that we can call them anti-blemish. And there are multiple functional ingredients, such as botanical extract, that have an effect as an antiseptic, or sebum control and sebum regulation. So our focus today will be on OTC. So what is the challenge using these 2 ingredients? Always start by identifying the problem, and then I show the solutions, and then how to use the solution. So, okay, so what is the problem number 1? The problem number 1 is both salicylic acid and BPO are not soluble in water, so we cannot put them easily in a formula. We need to use other ingredients to solubilize them. For example, alcohol or some house surfactants. Both alcohol or house surfactant are not really helping with people that have acne. The skin is already irritated. So you cannot put a material that will dry the skin and will prevent the natural healing of the skin. So this is the major issue. Yes, the protocol does not look into the other aspects of hydrating the skin and healing the skin. But we in the cosmetic business are trying to look first on how to help people and not to make it even worse. This is number one. Number two is when we use finally these functional ingredients and actives, the skin gets really dry and irritated. So this is our typical solutions in just one word. So in order to enhance the solubility, we make suspensions with submicron spheres. Submicron means microspheres with a diameter of anywhere between 0.1 to maybe 5 micron. So we make a suspension by encapsulating the active ingredients into tiny spheres with special benefits. So it's not just the encapsulation to bring them into the beads, but the way they are going to be released. And that's what we'll talk next. The second aspect is to reduce the redness, the dryness. The idea is not to reduce the dosage. The dosage is fixed. Okay, it's not to reduce the dosage, it's just to release it in a slower rate. So help the skin to buffer the exposure. So the skin would not get all the amount of salicylic acid at once, but will get it over several hours. And then the skin is able to handle it. Salicylic acid is insoluble in water, you can see here. If you use anywhere above 0.2%, which is the cosmetic dose, you will have a separation, and the bottom you will see crystals. And if it's not homogeneous, then you don't know. The first sample that you will take may not have any salicylic acid. And if you take the crystals are not effective at all. So it has to be solubilized and bioavailable. The other aspect is, of course, irritation. Almost all these products are causing irritation on the skin, especially with consumers with sensitive skin. So what are the solutions? This is the problem, the solutions. I promised to show you 4. We have more, but I just cannot accommodate everything in this short webinar. We could talk for a day about the different solutions we have. But the most commonly used right now are the following. Number 1 is SalSphere Even Skin. SalSphere Even Skin is a chemical and biochemical exfoliation machine. This is number 1. I call it like a machine because that's what it does. It's a submicron sphere with a core. The core is very lipid based, so hydrophobic. And then there is a shell. The shell is very hydrophilic, so it enables to suspend the lipid particle, the lipid droplet. Now, inside, we have 2 types of active and functional ingredients. The active is salicylic acid. The functional ingredients that support the exfoliation are 2 botanicals, papain and bromelain. They are known to help to exfoliate the skin. The benefit of these 2 is they are very mild on the skin. So now the salicylic acid in the acid form, not in the salt form. So it's not a titrated salicylic acid with sodium hydroxyl or something like that. But the acid itself now is incorporated in the lipid core. And this is available as a clear solution. This is the raw material, how it looks like. It's a golden color. There is no crystals, of course. And when you dilute it to the application level, anywhere between 0.5 and 2% salicylic acid, you get a very nice and clear solution. The concentration of salicylic acid in the raw is anywhere between 15 and could come up to 20% salicylic acid. So there is a huge factor for dilution. So this is the basic structure. Now, how does it work? This animation hopefully will show you how does it work. So I'm trying to control this. And this is always a challenge. So let me come back. Okay, I'm trying to control it. It doesn't let me so much. It's kind of a system that works by itself. Okay, so what you see here is a cross section of the skin. This is the hair follicle. This is the hair itself. This is the sebaceous glands. Here we start to produce the sebum. The sebum will climb up on the hair and then spread all around to form the pimple and the process I mentioned before. Okay, so okay, so hopefully now it will behave. And this is how we have the excess sebum. This is the time for bacteria. The bacteria is available on anybody's skin. Everyone has the bacteria. It's just the bacteria will not be manifested in aerobic situation. So when the hair follicle is clogged, like you see now, and the clog is going to be even more condensed with the dead skin and dead bacteria, this is preventing air from penetration. So bacteria could continue to grow. This is the SalSphere. The SalSphere is based on lipid, and the lipids are soluble in the pimple. It's a design issue. The lipid will melt into the lipid. This is the nature of the particle. And this is how we get what we call targeted delivery, because the particle of SalSphere will adhere, or more of the particles will adhere to the lipid domains, like the pimple. So the more pimple you have, the more of the SalSphere will adhere. Once it's adhere, because of hydrophobic interaction, just oil to oil, it will melt in, and it will release at that point the salicylic acid. This is the nature of the sphere. As the salicylic acid release, it will break down the pimple, because that's what salicylic acid is doing. It's exfoliating. So you see how the pimple is now going to practically to be shaved off, and gradually the hair follicle is open up. Once the hair follicle is open, what happens? Air can penetrate, and air will practically kill the bacteria. So what we do in our technology, we enable the natural solution to happen. That's what SalSphere Even Skin is doing. Opening, exfoliating the skin, opening the pores so oxygen can penetrate, reducing the clogs, and then when the pores are open and oxygen has ability to penetrate into the deeper layer, then the bacteria will be dying out. Now, what happens if the bacteria is deep inside? Okay, we will deal with this with our BPO. So this is the first technology. It's called SalSphere Even Skin. The second technology that I would like to introduce here is called SalSphere Severe Acne Relief. So why do we have another technology? Well, the first one should be sufficient, is because acne is more complex and requires more than salicylic acid to resolve and to relieve. What does it mean? Salicylic acid is mostly for the exfoliation purpose, but here we are talking about a more complex list of ingredients that are addressing the different factors that affecting the pimple creation itself. So again, the structure of the technology is the same, but the content, the ingredients are different. So what do we have? We have 6 groups of ingredients, all encapsulated in the same matrix system. The first one, of course, the medication itself, is salicylic acid. But then we have supporting ingredients, and sometimes they have double function. For example, benzalkonium chloride is used as an antibacterial and also as a preservative. Okay, the same thing with tea tree, green tea. Green tea used as another antibacterial and antiseptic, and green tea is known from the literature to have a major effect on relieving acne. Then we have several groups of waxes and alpha hydroxy acid. Part of these waxes are waxes that we use to make the beads. The same waxes are helping to increase the moisturization, the capability to hold water. And this is critical. Why it's so critical? Because if the cells are not hydrated, they are not able to defend, to protect us from the pathogens, from the bacteria. Then we get ingredients that support the irritation, the inflammation. So we have conjugated linoleic acid, okay, which is a fatty acid, essential fatty acid, and combined with the green tea and chamomile, that all helps to reduce redness. So the whole idea is not just to exfoliate, but also to accelerate the healing. Then we have rejuvenating elements. Why do we need them? Because some of the deep acne can cause to scars. To prevent this, we want to boost the collagen synthesis, and of course, reduction of the melanin accumulation around the pimple. Remember, this is for severe acne. Severe acne means, first of all, the number of pimples above 20, number one. Number two, they are deep enough, okay? And this is the step that we offer to consumers before they go into antibiotics. So before they go into prescriptions, they can use this solution. And then we have a bunch of products that are helping with controlling the sebum. This is the whole idea. Control the sebum is control the food for the bacteria. So once you regulate, how you regulate, there are two aspects of regulation here. One is to super absorb the excess sebum, immediately absorb it. The other one is to use a zinc material, zinc PCA, for example, that can regulate the enzyme that accelerating the production of the sebum. Here is a short video to summarize what I just said.
Acne relief is a multifunctional platform designed to deliver not only salicylic acid, but a host of functional ingredients designed to treat the symptoms, not only the disease state of acne. Upon application, the SalSphere will release silica, clay, and other inert oil-absorbing ingredients onto the skin surface to act as the first front in oil absorption, to deprive the bacterium of their food source, and to prevent the formation of further plugs or blockages over the pores.
I'm sorry if you cannot hear it enough.
Additionally, moisturizers, shea butter, and seaweed are also released at the skin surface. Moisture content, and to provide essential fatty acids, nutrients for the skin's health.
The blue signs the hydration level.
For additional moisturization, the spheres also carry lactic acid. As the lactic acid is slowly released from the spheres, its pH in contact with the skin is modulated to prevent irritation, and its release is slowed to gain additional benefits of moisturization and exfoliation. Salicylic acid is also slowly released to mitigate its effect on the skin's pH, and also to extend its efficacy range for a longer period of time. The spheres will also carry an additional antimicrobial agent, benzalkonium chloride, deep into the follicle. This allows for antibacterial action to happen not only from the oxygen, which is now able to penetrate into the follicle, but from an antimicrobial as well. Additionally, the spheres carry a number of anti-inflammatory, collagen boosting, and anti-irritancy agents, such as conjugated linoleic acid, collagen tripeptide, vitamin C, chamomile extract, and green tea extract. Finally, SalSphere Severe Acne Relief acts to prevent future breakouts by delivering zinc deep into the follicle. Here the zinc can reach the sebaceous gland, where it can inhibit 5-alpha reductase. 5-alpha reductase enzymatically converts testosterone to DHT. DHT is one of the primary stimulating factors for sebum secretion. By reducing the secretion of sebum in the first place, we can prevent the cycle that leads to breakouts, leaving the consumer with youthful, acne-free, healthy-looking skin.
I want to apologize about the intensity of the sound, and I just couldn't change it on my screen, but this video is available on our website and on YouTube, so please feel free to listen to this again. This video basically summarizes how all the ingredients work together. So I showed you now the two products that base on salicylic acid. Severe acne relief, number 2, and number 1 was even skin. These are the two these are the two based on salicylic acid. There will be another one coming up. But now I would like to move you to benzoyl peroxide. SalSphere benzoyl peroxide is our next technology. It's based on the same structure, and benzoyl peroxide is now encapsulated inside the core. Using benzoyl peroxide has very good record already. However, many people have a challenge on how to solubilize it in water at room temperature because it is explosive material, and how to stabilize it so it stays in the product for a long time. The first benefit of our encapsulation of salicylic acid is significant reduction of the particle size. Why it's so important? Because if the particles are small, this is what you see like 3 BPO under the microscope with the same magnification. When you look at SalSphere, you see significant reduction of particle size. Now with SalSphere BPO, this is able to penetrate into the hair follicle. They are small enough to penetrate within the space, the gap between the skin and the hair. Don't forget that they are also very hydrophobic. So if we look at deposition on the skin, we can see that the deposition, the deposition is significantly higher when we use SalSphere BPO compared to free BPO. In other words, if you want to make a wash off or a leave-on, especially wash-off, you can see that just dissolving salicylic acid, like another brand, dissolving salicylic acid does not provide the deposition power. And if it does not deposit, then there is no action. However, when you use this technology, there is a significant deposition. The particle size is anywhere between 0.4 and 1. You know, we talked always about range. The free is, you see, a few hundred. So it definitely requires a way to reduce the particles to make it, first of all, depositing because of the ratio of surface to volume and the charge, the hydrophobic properties of SalSphere. Now, SalSphere works in a different
Formation of a pimple or
BPO.
Begins with excess production of sebum or oil by the sebaceous glands, leading to excess oil in the follicle. When this excess oil reaches the skin surface, it collects dirt, dead skin, and other contaminants that plug the follicle. When a plugged follicle becomes colonized by the P. acnes anaerobe, the bacteria increase in number, resulting in redness, irritation, and even cysts. Traditional over-the-counter treatments for this state include benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid. Salicylic acid may exfoliate the plug, allowing oxygen into the pore. However, benzoyl peroxide generates oxygen in situ, killing the anaerobe directly. SalSphere benzoyl peroxide, due to both its lipophilicity and its particle size, has a demonstrated capacity to carry benzoyl peroxide deep into the follicle, generating oxygen not only at the skin surface, but also deep inside the follicle, allowing it to more effectively kill the P. acnes anaerobe and clear the skin very rapidly. Because the particle system slowly releases the benzoyl peroxide over time, it has a much lower potential for irritancy or sensitization for the consumer. Over time, as the bacterial colony is eliminated, the follicle returns to its normal, healthy, comedone-free appearance.
Great. So if we want to summarize what we have until now, salicylic acid with the technology SalSphere enabled to adhere to the pimple because of the hydrophobic interactions. So the salicylic acid now is able to exfoliate, to reduce the top layers of the skin, and by this exposing it to oxygen. This is the major role of salicylic acid. Some people use salicylic acid for general exfoliation and rejuvenation, which makes sense. But in this case, the emphasis is to exfoliate the skin so that oxygen will do the job. Yes, we have some data that salicylic acid by itself is an antibacterial, but not in the concentration that we typically use. It requires much more salicylic acid. Now, benzoyl peroxide comes in when the pimple is deep and oxygen is not easily reached to the deeper layer. That's why we need the BPO. Of course, a combination of one time salicylic acid and another time BPO would be a good routine to handle and relieve acne pimples. So we use both of them and we offer both technologies, and it depends really much which one works the best for the consumer. Needless to say that BPO is an it's generating free radicals, and it's causing aging of the skin as well, especially if you use it for a long time. That's why you will see in coming up examples, we combine the effect of anti-acne with anti-aging benefits. So this is about BPO. The number 4 technology that I'm pleased to share with you, it's called Multisal, and this is Multisal salicylic acid. So Multisal was born for different reasons, but this application was actually initiated by the need to use a soap bar to treat acne. So what we know about soap bar, natural soap bar, that the pH is very alkaline, 9 and even higher, and it cannot accommodate safely salicylic acid. In other words, the acid would react with the alkalinity and counteract. We can regenerate a sodium salt, which has very limited effect on the skin. This is an example how a technology is designed to solve a problem and to turn a soap bar, which is a commodity product in many countries, including in this one, commodity product that doesn't cost much, and turn it into a medicated soap bar that has much higher value than the commodity soap bar. So in the regular soap bar, you cannot really incorporate salicylic acid safely. This is number 1. Number 2 is, since you are using a wash off, how do you guarantee that the product will provide efficiency, efficacy? In order to get the efficacy, the salicylic has to adhere and then slowly release. The other question is, will it dry the skin? Will it be good for consumer with sensitive skin? And the answer is in the following situation. So there are 3 major issues. 1 is stability. Number 2 is efficacy. Number 2 is sensitivity of the product to the skin. There are the 3 issues. How we solve these 3 issues is by encapsulating salicylic acid into Multisal. Now, what is Multisal? Multisal is practically taking SalSphere, and that's why I started with SalSphere, taking the tiny beads, concentrating them, and encapsulate them in another layer. This is now a powder with particle size of about 20 to 40 micron. So this is something that you can actually see and feel. So these are quite big particles, not macro particles, but micro particles, fine powder. And you see the salicylic acid is double encapsulated. First encapsulated in the SalSphere technology, then re-encapsulated in what we call together the multi-sal technology. With a scanning electron microscope, you can see the shell and the inside beads. This product is a powder, it's a white powder, and now it can be used in a variety of products. How does it work and what's the mechanism to release? In order to release salicylic acid, two things have to happen. Number one, the shell, the yellow layer, has to totally dissolve, and then the SalSphere has to adhere to the skin and melt into the skin, and then it's releasing the salicylic acid. So this is an ideal solution for soap bars because the powder can be easily incorporated in the bar, extrusion and molding and so on. It resists temperature, resists the pressure, the stress of the production, the extrusion, and it's holding the system integrated all together. Of course, I may not have all the time to show you the details, but you may want to believe, or you can see some product that I will show you that already proven this. So whenever you wet the bar, the shell will degrade and the spheres are able to release. Then when they contact with the skin, with the fat domains, they will release. So here you see several of the products that contain this technology, very successful, from a regular bar that cost, I don't know, maybe less than $1. A bar like this cost about $16 and so on. Now you see this is this product use only 0.5%, so this is on the border of OTC. Okay, this is the maximum level for cosmetic and the minimum level for OTC. And you see the claim is it fights acne 300% longer. And this is another product that contains 2%, and this is an anti-acne solution from a soap bar. What do we know about this? In the clinical studies, we measured the blemish reduction in percent from the beginning over 30 days. Consumers were asked to wash their face 3 times a day. We measured the reduction in the number of blemishes. Okay, you see with 2% salicylic acid, it's reduced about 30%. This is our control. However, with the cosmetic level, 0.5, it reduces more than twice. Okay, so definitely the technology allows not just to stabilize it in the bar, but also to enhance the efficacy of the product. From the consumers we tested, we found that it's very gentle on the skin, and you can see some of the pictures from the clinical studies with a soap bar. So it's a very interesting, and I'm showing you because this technology doesn't have to be used only in soap bar, and we'll soon see other ways to use multisal, because first, it is a powder, it's much more stable, and it's activated with water, adheres like all the SalSphere. Now, this is the time after introducing the 4 technologies, is to introduce the team that worked on presenting the formulations. This is Brian and Alicia from our lab in Hamilton, New Jersey. So all the formulas, the 4 formulas that we're going to share with you, made in our lab. The first one is a powder base. Just to open up some ideas for what product you could use it. This using multisal salicylic acid. And another technology to support is multisal sebum control. This is another multisal powder. and it's used to eliminate and reduce and regulate a sebum extraction. Then the second technology is a lotion containing 5% SalSphere, 5% BPO from SalSphere BPO. So this will be a good example of how to use SalSphere BPO. The third technology is a regenerating cream cleanser. What's interesting about this, you will see how we use a transitional. I always like to show some physical sensory benefit to make the product not just effective, but more interesting for the user, because if it's more interesting, there is a better chance they use it frequently enough and they see the benefit. So this is the major issue with anti-acne solutions. People try it once, they say it dry the skin, they stop using, and then they say the product doesn't work, which is true. So this is a product that uses SalSphere Even Skin together with a moisturizing technology. This is called SalSphere Aqua Skin. Aqua Skin because it contains some extract from algae, and the algae in this case is used not just as an emollient, but as a technology to hold the water on the surface of the skin. The delivery is based on humectant and also on other functional ingredients that boosting the transport of water toward the surface of the skin. Transport of water is the different way to continuously hydrate. We use humectant from the top, from the environment to the skin, but now we are also using ingredients that can boost the transport from the body to the skin. It works only for a few hours, not for a long time, but that's enough to provide the initial moisturization. And when the skin is hydrated, it can fight better bacteria, and you see the results faster. The third one is a clarifying anti-acne mask. What's unique about this mask is it's changing. The first one here, the cream, is changing gel to a cream to give a longer moisturization effect. The second one, the mask, is all about allowing the consumer to take control to determine where he wants to use this medicated product, how much he wants to use, and the indication is a color changing technology. This is called the Sol Color Effect, changing white to black. And of course, the technology that we use is SalSphere Severe Acne Relief. So this is the introduction, and now let's go to each one of the products. So this is a powder product based on two technologies. It's a very loose powder. You can, of course, compress it. You can combine it with other minerals to form a makeup, for example, foundation. And the idea is it contains an encapsulated time-release salicylic acid, which we know works very well. So this was one of the products that produces a finished product that's using multi-salicylic acid. And the idea was that the consumer can open it up and take some of the powder and apply it on the pimple, like you see in this picture, okay? Some other product later on utilizing in powder makeup foundation. So this is how you take a simple foundation makeup product and make it medicated or much more effective, depends on what you want to claim, but you can incorporate multi-sal salicylic acid and multi-sal sebum control, and now you have a technology to mattify the skin easily and also treat the acne, useful for either when you have acne on skin that's prone to acne. The formula, straightforward. You see we have different type of powders that are listed here. Then we use 10% of multi-sal salicylic acid and 2% of multi-sal sebum control. So this is the simple formula on how to use it. Here is how
the first ingredient in our anti-acne powder is Dermaveil. This is an oat-based powder. Its fine particle size on the skin makes it good for powders. The first ingredient that we will be adding to the Dermaveil is Alba Gel. This acts as an absorbent for oils on the skin. And now we will be adding kaolin. This will act as an absorbent for oils on the skin as well. Now we will add some scrubbed silica. This is a third absorbent powder and also has anti-caking properties, which will allow the powder to spread evenly across the skin. Now we will add the first of our two technologies, multi-sal salicylic acid. This encapsulation of salicylic acid allows for higher loading of sal acid into powders. And within the formulation, this will help to exfoliate the skin. And now our final ingredient and the second of our two technologies, multi-sal sebum control. This is a double encapsulation of zinc PCA, which is encapsulated in a polysaccharide. So the polysaccharide will immediately absorb excess oil on the skin surface, and then the zinc PCA will help to modulate the sebum secretion once it is released. So this will help reduce the shine of the skin and will instantly mattify. This is our multi-sal salicylic acid and multi-sal sebum control anti-acne powder. As you can see, it is a free-flowing light powder. If desired, other pigments could be added to this to match a specific skin tone. And here is the powder being applied to the skin. Even though a healthy amount of powder has been applied, it still absorbs fairly quickly and is easily spreadable. As you can see, it does not cake together and mattifies the skin quite nicely.
Great. You see that we have a very good team in our lab, and we can formulate interesting and exciting products with the technologies. So this is kind of product that you can see on the market with the technology. Some people like to apply them with the finger, okay? Some people would like to use a towelette, apply them in this way. So the whole idea is this towelette has to be disposable. And some other people put it into a stick. Of course, I less recommend to use the stick because we don't want to spread bacteria from one place to another. So maybe this towelette would be the best way to use this kind of technology. Okay, so this is all about our anti-acne powder. And let's move to extra strength skin treatment lotion. This has only one technology, SalSphere BPO, and we decided to use only 5% BPO, that's it. So it's a very effective solution. It works for stubborn acne and doesn't dry the skin. That's what's unique about this. The whole idea of targeted into the follicle itself because of the hydrophobic and the size that allows it to happen. And the formula also give it a lightness. So what is the formula? Very simple, as you can see. About 50% of the formula is water. Then we have glycerin. Then we have other ingredients to support the moisturization, emollients, and a little bit of a surfactant, and shea butter. The technology is SalSphere BPO. We use here 25% of the BPO. This is because the concentration of BPO in SalSphere is only about 20%. So in order to get to 5% active, we have to use a lot. This is a lot, but it works extremely well. And here is how to formulate.
The first ingredient that we will be adding to water is glycerin. This humectant will help the skin feel soft once the lotion is applied. While our water phase is mixing, we will begin to mix our oil phase. The first ingredient is Emulsipure Sunflower. This all-natural oil and water emulsifier will leave a velvety afterfeel on the skin. Next, we will add some cocoa glucoside to the oil phase. This will act as a thickener and stabilizer for our lotion. And now we will add a healthy portion of shea butter to this oil phase. This is going to be our main moisturizer within this lotion. And now we will begin to heat both the oil and water phase to an internal temperature of 65 degrees Celsius. Now that both the oil and water phase have reached an internal temperature of 65 degrees Celsius, we will begin to slowly add the oil to the water. This should thicken the water a considerable amount, and it will opacify it, so increasing the propeller may be necessary. Now we will allow this formulation to cool to room temperature so that we can add the rest of the formulation. Now that our lotion has cooled to room temperature, we will begin to add our technology, SalSphere BPO. This encapsulation of benzoyl peroxide into small particles allows for targeted delivery of BPO. Upon application, the spheres adhere to the pimples where they dissolve and slowly release the benzoyl peroxide. The encapsulation of the benzoyl peroxide also helps to improve its stability. And now we will mix this until uniform and our BPO lotion is complete. This is our SalSphere BPO lotion. As you can see, it is a white emulsion, not super thick, but also not super thin, just like any other lotion might be. And here it is being dispensed out of a pump bottle. A small pea-sized amount is used, and then it is rubbed onto the skin. As you can see, it absorbs fairly quickly, and the benzoyl peroxide within this formulation will help to target pimples and acne.
Thank you, Brian. I hope you learned how to make a lotion with 5%. Other products that using such technologies, you can see from a level of 2.5%. Then some other are using an acne foaming cleanser with 4%. Other products are using 10% of benzoyl peroxide, and they're also available in a lotion form, and they call it either micronized or other form. Of course, I cannot put the labels of the brand without permission. So let's move on to the regenerating cream. This is a product that feels like a cream, but it used as a wash. So it contains SalSphere Even Skin. This is the medicated product, and Aqua Skin, and this is to moisturize and hydrate the skin. Let's look at the formula. The formula contains about 45% water, I would say, then some surfactant. The active ingredients is SalSphere Even Skin with a salicylic acid at 6.7 in order to get to 1% salicylic acid. So this is an OTC product. The supporting is SalSphere Aqua Skin. Let's go and see how it's done in the lab.
The first ingredient that we will be adding to this formulation is our technology, SalSphere Aqua Skin. This is a combination of encapsulated urea, caffeine, and seaweed. The time release allows for higher loading without the tacky film in the skin. Within this encapsulation, the urea acts as a humectant and moisturizing agent. The caffeine helps to stimulate aquaporins within the skin, and the seaweed acts as an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. Now we will add Lumerol 5019. This is a mild foaming surfactant and will make up most of our formulation as this is a wash. This will thicken the water a considerable amount, so the propeller speed may need to be increased while this is being added and afterwards. But you want to be careful to not increase the propeller speed too much, as that will cause foaming. Next, we will add our salt thickener, sodium chloride. So the way this acts as a thickener is by reducing the micelle charge density within the formulation, which helps to convert the spherical micelles into rod-shaped micelles. And now we will add a small amount of Protolan AGL, which is sodium cocoyl glutamate. This acts as an anti-irritation and moisturizing ingredient. And now the final ingredient that we will be adding to this wash is the second of our two technologies, SalSphere Even Skin. This encapsulation of salicylic acid and enzymes helps exfoliate the skin. And the encapsulation of the sal acid allows for a higher use level of salicylic acid within the final formulation and gives a time release effect so that the sal acid does not irritate the skin all at once. And now, once this has mixed until uniform, our SalSphere Aqua Skin and SalSphere Even Skin wash is done. This is our wash with SalSphere Aqua Skin and SalSphere Even Skin. As you can see, it is quite thick, like any hand wash. It is not completely clear, as there is SalSphere Aqua Skin in it. Had the Aqua Skin not be added, this formulation would be clear, even though we have our technology SalSphere Even Skin in it. Here is the wash being applied to the skin. A regular amount is used, like any other hand wash, and then a nice lather is achieved. The SalSphere Even Skin in this wash will help to exfoliate the skin, while the SalSphere Aqua Skin will help to moisturize. This is nice because most classic hand washes have strong surfactants and they will dry the skin out fairly quickly, but the Aqua Skin will ensure that this does not happen.
Great, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. And we move on to show you a couple of products and how they claim. You see anti-aging acne. This is a very interesting claim. Time-release acne cleanser, 0.5% salicylic acid and acne treatment. So it's kind of a creamy wash that works on both aspects of anti-acne and anti-aging. I don't have much time to go into details, but we have to move on. So this is the mask, the clarifying anti-acne mask, and it contains two technologies, the SalSphere severe acne relief and Sal color effects, white to black. So it's a very powerful because it does 5 different functions, 5 different. First of all, it's a cleanser. Then it's absorb the excess oil. Then it gently exfoliates. Then it's supporting healing and repair of the skin. This is because the severe acne relief is there. The most interesting factor here is the transition of color, and you will see in a moment. So what is in the formula? Straightforward formula for a mask. 60% of the formula is water. We use xanthan gum and some kaolin, bentonite, typically for the clay mask. The technology, the active itself is SalSphere Severe Acne Relief. We use it 14.5% to get high level of OTC. And the technology for the color changing only use 4%. Of course, you can use more. It's all a matter of how much do you want it to cost. See how we make the formula.
Our first step in creating our mask will be to pre-mix our xanthan gum and glycerin. The glycerin will help to wet the xanthan gum so that it is more compatible with the water. The xanthan gum will act as our water phase thickener. Now that the xanthan gum has been fully wetted by the glycerin, it can be added to the water. This will thicken the water, so the propeller speed should be increased. Now we will add the first of our 2 fillers into the water phase, colloidal kaolin. This will also help to opacify the final formulation and make it milky white. And now the second of our 2 fillers and opacifiers will be added, bentonite. Now that our water phase is completely put together, we will continue to mix it and heat to 70 degrees Celsius. We will also begin to mix our oil phase and heat that as well. The first ingredient in our oil phase is GChem CTG, which is caprylic capric triglycerides. This is going to be an emollient in our final formulation and help keep the skin moisturized. Now we will add GChem GMS 165 to the oil phase. This is going to be our emulsifier, which will help lower the interfacial tension between the oil and water once we add the oil to the water phase and create the nice small droplets, which will be stable. Now we will add some cetyl alcohol to our oil phase. This will help to thicken the final formulation and will also act as a dry skin soother. And now the final ingredient of our oil phase, stearic acid, will be added. This will also act as a thickener like the cetyl alcohol. Now that both the oil and water phase are uniform and have reached an internal temperature of 65 degrees Celsius, we will begin to add the oil to the water phase. This will thicken the water, so the propeller speed will need to be increased to ensure that it is mixing uniformly. Now that all of the oil has been added to the water, we will continue mixing while allowing the formulation to cool to room temperature. Now that our mask has cooled to room temperature, we can begin to add the final 3 ingredients. The first of which is the first of our technologies, SalSphere Severe Acne Relief. This is a single system that addresses multiple symptoms associated with acne. It contains salicylic acid for exfoliation, benzalkonium chloride and green tea extract for antimicrobial benefits, peptides for skin rejuvenation, vitamin C for its antioxidant properties, and cornstarch and zinc sulfate for sebum control. Now we will add a small amount of Euxyl PE9010, which is our preservative. This will help to ensure that no bugs grow in our water phase. And now we will add our final ingredient, Sal Color FX White to Black, by hand. The reason we are adding this by hand and not with a propeller is because this ingredient is an encapsulation of one pigment inside another. And if we mix this with too high shear of mixing, it will break that encapsulation and release the black pigment before we actually want it to be released. So once this has been completely mixed by hand and it is uniform, it should be allowed to sit, and the pigments will hydrate overnight and it will become completely uniform. This is our SalSphere Severe Acne Relief Mask with Sal Color FX White to Black. As you can see, it is quite thick due to the cetyl alcohol and stearic acid within this formulation. And here it is in a jar. Only a small pea-sized amount is needed. And then using one finger, it is spread around in a circular motion. And as you can see, it goes immediately from white to black due to the Sal Color FX.
Great, very sensory cue for this. It's great. You can see here one of our chemists applying it on the skin and then rubbing it on the skin changes the color, in this case black, but it's available in different colors. And it can show the consumer how much was applied and where was it applied. See, some areas could be loaded with more, like spot treatment, and some other areas can use much less. So this is giving control to the consumer. You can see this technology also is considered to be a smart, color smart, and it's typically used in a face mask to allow the consumer better control on how to use it and how much to apply it and so forth. The technology is based actually on time-release salicylic acid. So at the end of this, what you can see on the skin becomes very smooth and very hydrated. And of course, there is reduction of excess oil. The pores are opening and reduce the signs of inflammation just because we have all these technologies, all the product inside. And it also helps for the future to protect us, to prevent from future breakthrough. So this is our technology. Then the last presentation I would like to show you is an anti-acne gel that changes to a cream, contain SalSphere Even Skin and Aqua Skin, very much the same. But you see here the formula is about 70% water, and the technology itself uses only 3.33%. So this is the lowest level of OTC and Aqua Skin. The process is very much...
Our first ingredient is PNC 400. This is a pre-neutralized sodium carbomer. This will help thicken the water considerably into a gel. Our next ingredient will be glycerin, and this will act as a humectant. So this is going to help wet some of that sodium carbomer into the water and make that gel. Within the final formulation, this will also help to make the skin feel a little bit wetter. And now a second humectant, Zimea, which is propanediol, will be added. And just like the glycerin, this will help give that final formulation a bit of a wet feel. And since this is a gel to cream, you want that gel to disperse well on the hands and then give a nice wet feeling. Now the final of our three humectants, diglycerin, will be added. Diglycerin is a little bit thicker than regular glycerin, so it's going to make our gel a little bit thicker in the end. And now a small amount of hyaluronic acid will be added to our formulation. This is a very, very strong moisturizing agent, and it should be solubilized very easily since we have those three humectants in there, the Zimea, glycerin, and diglycerin. Now we will add our preservative, Euxyl PE9010. This will help to ensure that no bugs grow inside of our water phase. Now the first of our two technologies, SalSphere Aqua Skin, will be added. SalSphere Aquaskin is a combination of encapsulated urea, caffeine, and seaweed. The urea acts as a humectant to help moisturize the skin. The caffeine stimulates aquaporins, which are water channels to the deeper parts of the epidermis. And then seaweed has many polysaccharides, vitamins, and minerals, as well as amino acids and potent antioxidants, which help provide anti-inflammatory properties. Our final ingredient in this gel to cream is our second technology, SalSphere Even Skin. This is encapsulated salicylic acid plus enzymes, which provide a powerful exfoliating effect. This is our gel to cream moisturizer, which contains SalSphere Even Skin and SalSphere Aquaskin. As you can see, it's a pretty thick gel. This gel could be either packaged in like a squeeze bottle or a canister, much like the one we have here. And only a very small amount is needed. And as it is being rubbed in, you can really feel it start to turn into a cream and help moisturize the skin.
Okay, great. So you saw different ways of how to use the technologies and how to utilize the materials in different forms to get very nice product that could benefit consumers, increase the efficiency, efficacy, and become skin friendly. So to summarize this event, the goal of this meeting was to introduce you to anti-acne technologies that are, you can see, easy to use and are very skin friendly, and demonstrate to you how to use the technologies to create interesting finished product. So you learned about SalSphere encapsulated with salicylic acid and BPO, and multi-sal encapsulated with salicylic acid. And you see all of them are very easy to use. They don't require any special tricks or formulations. And typically they're added toward the end of the formula, and you can utilize it with maybe your current formulas without recreating the formula. So it can provide efficacy, efficiency, and of course a new marketing positioning for the product that contains a time release effect. I would like to finalize here our short webinar that was extended above an hour. I didn't mean to, but we have a lot to say about technologies for anti-acne, anti-blemish, and so on. There is another webinar that we did a couple of days ago about anti-blemish. This is now OTC for anti-acne. I want to thank you for your collaboration, for sitting here with me. I see nobody left, so it's maybe a good sign. Nobody from those that joined us earlier. I want to offer you that you can contact us either by phone or giving also my cell phone, and probably I will not pick up if you just call me, but if you send me a message either by WeChat, WhatsApp, Viber, Line, or Telegram, I will be happy. Also, you can email me and follow us on the LinkedIn. You can also contact our generous distributors in the East Coast, West Coast, and the South. In the East Coast is the Maroon Group, and also in Central. In the South is the Kelly and Green Group, and of course in the West is Norman Fox, and here you see the numbers. You are invited to contact them or directly go to the website. If you don't want to formulate and you would like to have either the bulk or the finished product, you can contact Advanced Beauty Lab, our sister company. They know how to formulate. They formulate this product for consumer, and you're invited to contact Jeff Gohau, and he can be reached at the phone 609-270-9359 or at the website, and you can email him for any issues relating to either bulk or finished product. I hope we can stay in touch over the summer and beyond. You can always visit our website and keep in touch with us. Just to remind you, our next webinar on July 30th will focus on technologies for moisturizing. So it's not like a single ingredients, glycerin and so on, but we're talking about the whole concept. August, no webinars, no global webinars, but we come back in September with some other other topics. The local webinars will go on. You are invited to attend any one of these. It's just maybe a little bit strange hours, but and that's why we do local webinars. If you are one of our distributors or would like to have a meeting like that, please contact me. We will be happy to support you. You can always contact me at salvona.com at contact.